So what exactly did President Xi come here for, and did he get it? Let's ask Michael Pillsbury, Heritage Foundation Senior Fellow for China Strategy and author of the 100-Year Marathon, China's Secret Strategy to Replace America as the Global Superpower. Well, let's start right there, Michael. That's what they're after. And the question is, are they any closer towards that goal now than they were before they came here?
I think the Chinese are pleased with the results. I think they got what they wanted. I'll tell you what it was. But you reminded me of a time when Xi Jinping met for steak dinner with President Trump in Buenos Aires. And according to the notes of the meeting I was given, the first thing Xi Jinping said to Trump was, we are not pursuing a 100-year marathon. We don't have a secret strategy, and we don't want to replace you. So everybody in the room knew which book Xi Jinping was trying to rebut. But they are continuing the marathon, and they've been hurting this past year. The level of foreign investment, especially American investment in high-tech sectors in China, has been going down. So what Xi Jinping wanted to happen did happen. It's this dinner with the CEOs and the high-tech companies, because the message of the summit from the White House seems to be Xi Jinping is not that bad. China is not that bad. You know, you didn't hear genocide of the Uyghurs. You didn't hear Jimmy Lai in Hong Kong, who's still in prison after 2 years, I think it is now. You didn't hear any of that kind of
Or you didn't hear about the millions of people around the world who lost their lives because of COVID, which was passed on to the world thanks to the Chinese.
You're stealing my next point. You didn't hear anything about that either. So it's quite a long list of things that the Biden side did not raise. And in some sense, they are endorsing Xi Jinping as a decent place to invest. They did not boycott the dinner. You know, some Biden team did go to the dinner. So the message to the investment community in Wall Street is, if you had doubts about investing in China in the past, don't worry about it now. Everything's okay. You can go ahead and invest. And I think that's what's going to happen. So Xi Jinping is obviously thrilled by the result. The other thing that he wanted was reassurances on Taiwan. Everybody knows there's about a $19 billion backlog of weapons Taiwan has essentially paid for or committed that have not been delivered now for several years. So Xi Jinping does not want them to be delivered ever. And it looks like the Biden team is only too happy to slow down or to not push ahead these weapons. A lot of them are jet fighters. They're F-16 jet fighters. Taiwan bought 66 of them for about $8 billion, as I recall. They just haven't been transferred, not to mention training and other issues. So these are the two big things Xi Jinping wanted. American investment and no action on Taiwan arms sales.
As to that meeting at which, with all the CEOs, the American CEOs, the Wall Street Journal had the best headline of that in their editorial. They said U.S. CEOs on the Chinese menu. And again, they stood up. They gave him a resounding standing ovation for doing zero, for doing nothing. I do want to ask you about one thing, these empty promises that he's making on fentanyl and on climate change, too, because we know how many coal plants they're building. But on fentanyl in particular, that's hitting Americans harder than anything else that is now imported that could be positive from China, is the death and destruction that they're bringing because of fentanyl. How could we be getting any assurance from them that we would believe in that they are cutting back on those precursor materials that are used for fentanyl?
It's a great question, and it's a simple answer. They need to arrest the Chinese citizens involved in money laundering and the sale of precursors, and any Chinese citizen breaking Chinese law should be arrested immediately. As near as I can tell, that's not happening, and Xi Jinping did not promise to do that. He promised to go back to what they were doing with President Trump about 4 years ago, making fentanyl a controlled substance in China, making it harder to move it around, but not to actually arrest people immediately and refer them for prosecution to whatever country.
Anybody who believes that we'd be allowed into the laboratories that produce this stuff should remember what happened when we tried to get into the Wuhan lab. Even the WHO, as much kowtowing as they did to the Chinese government, they couldn't get into those labs. I'm sure we won't get into the fentanyl labs either. Michael, we got to leave it at that. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. appreciate it. We'll be right back.
It's